Live for February 25th, 2024. I'm Peggy K, and today there are updates for YouTube and for lots of new AI tools, plus a fun little thing you can try to make your own customized Android bot. It's an image, but it's still cute. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're here live, say hello in the chat. I'd love to know what you think about this week's updates. And really, what do you think about all these new AI tools? Are you going to pay for a subscription to get the most advanced tools? I'd love to hear from you. So I'm going to start with some updates on YouTube that are not related to AI. Got to start somewhere. The first thing I wanted to talk about is a new feature on televisions. Now, YouTube is really going in on TV. They say tons and tons of people watch YouTube on TV. They've quoted statistics from Nielsen saying that if you look at platforms that people are watching TV for streaming, YouTube beats out Netflix even. So this is really important to them. They are making some improvements to the way channels look. And in particular, what they are doing is changing the channel layout so that the cover image is this large full bleed image. Now, this is an image from the YouTube Creator Liaison. And you'll notice that the image that they are showing on TV for the channel is this big 16:9 image. So if you have a YouTube channel, this is just to compare. This is what that little box is, what shows on mobile and desktop. What shows on TV is the whole big image. So this is something to check for your own channel. How does the cover image look on TV? And I still haven't quite figured out how best to do this so that it looks good on a regular desktop or mobile, and it's going to look good on TV also. So that's a project I have, something you may want to check out as well. The next update I wanted to mention from YouTube is that this feature where you can remix content from YouTube videos into shorts has a layout that's called collab, where you can show actually a little clip from the video you're remixing, and then there's different layouts you can use to put yourself with them. You can react to it, you can dance along, or whatever you want to do. This format launched for iOS in December. It's now available on Android devices. So if you are like me and you have an Android phone, you might want to check out this new Shorts layout. And then the third thing I wanted to talk about, just really briefly, is a new option. If you are monetizing your YouTube channel, you can now see an analytics content performance by the type of content. So before you would just see, big stats, and you could dive down and look at them, but there wasn't an easy way to do this. Now you can go in, you can see what is your revenue from shorts, what is your revenue from live, what is your revenue from videos, and what are the top videos generating revenue for the time period that you've selected. So this gives you a better idea of how well you're monetization is working for different content, which may be different than which content people are watching the most. And then one quick note that YouTube is testing new layouts for watching videos on desktop. And they share this information so that if you see something really weird on YouTube, you'll know that they are testing things. That's a sign to send feedback and let them know what you think. So in this particular test, they say we're testing different layouts to the desktop watch experience to make it even easier to find related videos and engage with comments. These updates are currently being tested with a small group of users. If you're in this experiment, you may notice that the position of features like comments, the video description, and recommended videos to watch next have changed. So that, you see something, the layout looks weird, you're probably in a test, and you should just see what you like and definitely let YouTube know. They run these tests not only to see how it might affect people's engagement with videos, how much watch time, but they also want feedback. And so if you look at it and you absolutely hate it, tell them. I see a lot of people post on Reddit, post on X, post various places that they hate the new layout. The best way for YouTube to know and hear that is to send feedback from inside YouTube. Okay, so definitely do that. And if you're not sure how to send feedback on desktop, I'm pretty sure you click your channel icon at top right and it's in the menu. I want to say hello to everyone who is here live today. Thank you so much for joining me. I love to hear what you think about this week's updates. And I hope you're having a great weekend and the weather's nice. I'm in San Francisco Bay Area. It's beautiful and sunny after having tons and tons of rain over the past week. And so I just want to be outside and soak up the sun. We'll probably have another wintry episode before spring is officially here, but it definitely feels like spring. So I hope it's good where you are. All right. The last thing I wanted to talk about really, really briefly before getting into the AI updates is that there is a change to there is a change to the way the Google sign-in screen looks. So if you're here, if you're chatting, you have a Google account, that's what you use to sign into YouTube. When you sign into Google, there is a specific layout. You enter your username and your password. Google is changing the way that sign-in screen looks. You've probably noticed there's been a banner at the top of the screen that says a new look is coming. So this is what the new look looks like. It's very simple. Let me see if I can zoom in on that just a little bit. And so you can see that the sign-in screen, it looks a little simplified. There's nothing changing in the functionality of sign-in. It's just a sign-in screen that's different. And it's good that Google tells us that this layout change is coming, because that's something you should pay attention to when you're signing into your accounts online. Is this the correct sign-in page? So they told everybody, if you're not seeing that sign-in screen now, you will see it very soon. And it's been pointed out that this is the sign-in screen you see if you add someone to your Chromebook. So it's been around for a little bit. I want to shift gears just a little bit now to talk about this week's big theme, which is AI. And I don't know, you may be a little tired of hearing about this, but this is the way all the big businesses are going. And it seems like almost all of the updates this week touch on AI in one way or another. And I thought that this particular quote, let me move that in a little bit. This particular quote, this is over on Threads. Uh, it, the person is responding to someone said, "Why isn't AI doing all the tedious shit for the creative people instead of doing the creative shit for the tedious people?" You know, that's a shareable kind of quote. But the reality is, creative people do use AI tools for the creative shit. And what this person said that I found striking is that once we find a tool is useful, I guess we don't call it AI. And I think that that's actually true. AI, people think about all these image generators, they think about text generators. They're not thinking about these little tools that maybe help you tweak the lighting in your video, or maybe do spell checking or translating, that sort of thing. It's not sexy and exciting, but those are also the same kind of AI. So, that being said, this week it's about Gemini. Gemini is Google's latest large language model. They are incorporating it everywhere. So, Gemini is now what you call Bard. Is their chatbot. It's now the Gemini chatbot. Everyone has access to that. But if you want the special features, if you want the fanciest version of Gemini, you're going to have to pay. And so I think that's really one of the big changes that we're going to be seeing more and more of, these sexy new AI tools, but nothing is free. So if you have a personal Google account, you can get a new Google One plan with AI. So Google One mostly is for getting additional storage. In this case, you get a Google One plan with at least 2 terabytes of cloud storage. That also comes with some advanced Google Meet features. And then you have to add on to that the Gemini subscription. That gives you some access to Gemini and Gmail docs, slides, that sort of thing. And it also gives you access to the Gemini chatbot that's a fancier model than the Gemini chatbot you use for free. I don't have access to this, so I don't know how it compares exactly, but this is like the Ultra Gemini instead of the Pro Gemini, something like that. This is not cheap. So if you want to get this, it's like $10 a month for Google One, 2 terabytes of data. It's an additional $10 a month for Gemini on your account. And if you have Google Workspace, that's for business or for nonprofits. Additional Gemini tools cost $20 a month per user on the business plan and $30 per month per user on the enterprise plan. So this is not necessarily something you would want to get for your entire business, especially I think the basic lowest level Google Workspace plan is like $6 per users per month. So additional $20 per month on top of that is pretty spendy. And I think that's something that maybe hasn't been talked about as much. There's all these big, big claims about how wonderful AI is, how it, democratizes creating content and so forth. But in reality, to access these tools, it's not free. So that isn't really as democratic as it could be. it will be interesting to see how many people actually pay for this. So for the Google One plan, you can get 2 months free, a trial version. You do have to be paying for the Google One premium tier to start with. Um, I am not, so I am not going to get that. I'm currently subscribing to the 200 gigabyte Google One plan, which I share with my family. And then on top of that, I have Google Workspace Individual, which has an additional terabyte of data storage. I don't know why there isn't a Gemini plan for Google Workspace Individual. Maybe that's something that would be coming in the future. If I have that with a free trial, I may give it a shot, but you can access some of these features for free. If you sign up for a Google Workspace Google Workspace Labs experimental account. So let me see if I can find the correct window. Well, I can't figure out which window it is, but I believe Google Workspace Labs may only be available in the US, but you can get a link to it in my weekly blog post or my newsletter. There is a link in the video description. And you can sign up for this, try out these new features, no guarantee you'll have permanent access to them. And my own personal experience is that I don't use the generative AI features that much. I've used the text generator a little bit, kind of brainstorming new things, but it's not good for anything that requires factual information. The AI models are not that good yet. So you really need to be aware that these AI models, Gemini, ChatGPT, any of them, they may hallucinate and they may not create what you're expecting. They may not create things that are factually based. And Google had a little problem with that this week. So they had to apologize because there were some people who were using Gemini image generation. They used it to create pictures of, what was it, German soldiers in 1933 or the US founding fathers, and they were kind of upset that it was multiracial or all Black people or it wasn't all white people. And it is kind of weird, right? Because that's obviously not historically accurate. But these large language models are not historically accurate. This was partially driven by right-wing, I don't want to say cranks, but maybe cranks, pushing an agenda. And so they want to say, oh, Gemini is too woke. We're going to use Elon Musk's Grok, which is totally racist or whatever. So it was interesting that Google did apologize about this. And they said, here's the problem that we found. There were two things. The first thing is they say in tuning to ensure Gemini showed a range of people, they failed to account for cases that should clearly not show a range of people. So if you wanted to generate images of doctors, you would probably want them to be racially diverse because that's the reality. Doesn't work for historical pictures. The other thing is they say the model became way more cautious than we intended and refused to answer certain prompts entirely, wrongly interpreting some very anodyne prompts as sensitive. This is a tricky thing because Google and most AI companies that are not X don't want their AI bot to create offensive things. They don't want it to create child porn. They don't want it to create offensive images of real people and so forth. They have these roadblocks in place, and sometimes they don't work as expected. So what Google has done is they have turned off the option to generate people. That doesn't seem like a long-term solution, and I don't know how it would work exactly because these large language models are not actually intelligent. So you give them a prompt, they're generating images based on the prompt, based on whatever they use to train on, and they don't know history. So it'll be interesting to see how this actually plays out. The other AI feature that's rolling out from Google this week is a new AI feature in Chrome that helps you write on the web. And the idea is that you have this turned on, and then any field where you can write, you can have this AI tool help you write a review on Amazon. You can have it help you write a forum post or a post on social media and so forth. I am very skeptical that this is a good thing. I know some people really love using the AI writing tools. My concern is that this will encourage even more low quality, highly verbose content. You can kind of tell an AI generated text these days because a lot of times it uses a lot more words than it needs. It doesn't sound natural. But some people feel like they can't just use their natural words. They use this. It may not be factually based. I mean, you can ask it to write a review of something that doesn't even exist. You just click yes. Technically, it can help you phrase things, and it may actually be really good for that, but a lot of people just accept whatever it is that it generates. And I just wanted to point to an article that I thought was interesting. Definitely look this up. The link is in this week's newsletter and in the blog post. Ryan Broderick at Garbage Day talks about AI search as a doomsday cult. The idea behind this is that you have these AI search tools. Oh, they generate a summary for you. They take all the information on the web and they take out the most important bits. The thing is, they need the information on the web to be able to do that. And if they're not actually sending traffic or crediting the people who actually write the content that the AI is summarizing, this doesn't work in the long run. So it's not clear, again, how this will play out. This is not a good thing. And this is a problem not only Google has, but there's these special AI browsers that tell you, oh, we're going to give you all the information without the websites that have ads and so forth. Okay, who is making those websites in the future if nobody's actually visiting them? No one is. And I kind of feel like there's a lot of people who talk a lot about how much they hate ads. They hate visiting websites. They don't want to read articles, but they want the information. So how does that work if you're not actually giving people the information? Okay, so the next AI tool that I wanted to mention really quickly is that if you have Windows, the Windows Photos now has more generative AI tools. The latest feature is a way to automatically erase backgrounds. In this example, there's a little doggy on the beach. There's people in the background. You can erase the people in the background. This is similar to a tool that's in Google Photos, but you can access this in more places now. So moving on just a little bit, The other big news this week that a lot of people were talking about was Reddit, selling access for AI training. What company is that? It was Google. So Reddit has this partnership with Google now where they give Google access to their data API. It's just a flood of data. Google can use that for training their next AI models. Reddit is using some of the AI features on the site, supposedly. So this is making a lot of people not happy because this is a big money deal. The people who actually generate the content aren't getting any credit for this. Now, Reddit wants to say, we do like our creators. They announced they're having their initial public offering soon. This IPO, I think, will be in March. And they are offering the option to some users to basically buy Reddit stock at the IPO price. Usually the IPO price is relatively low, and they are offering this first to accounts that have the most karma or have done the most moderation, and there's limited slots. So first will be the most active users, and then it will eventually open to anyone who was on Reddit before January 2024. This is a good idea. I'm not sure. It's really kind of an interesting move on Reddit's part. It's not typical to share the IPO stock with just regular investors. This does mean the option is only limited to people in the US. There's regulations about that. The thing is, this may have an odd dynamic where people are expecting this investment to go up. That isn't guaranteed. I looked at Snap, the parent of Snapchat, where they had their initial public offering. It was like at $17 a share. At one point in like 2021, it went way up, like $80. But now it's trading at $11, which is below the IPO stock price. So stocks are crazy. They go up and down. There's no guarantee you'll make a profit. You could lose everything. So you'll see. We'll see how the user investors end up feeling about Reddit. And the funny thing is, Reddit has never had a profit. It is less unprofitable than it was a few years ago. The CEO pays himself really well. It's not clear Reddit will ever be profitable, and there's kind of a weird dynamic where this is sort of an old-fashioned idea. Old-fashioned? That's not really the word. But earlier times when everyone was enthusiastic about the web, sites like Reddit could zoom up. In today's economic climate, I'm not sure. So we're getting near the end of the time. There's a bunch more interesting things this week in discussion. I recommend you read this week's post. Just to mention a couple things really, really quickly. Let's see. Oops. Oh, okay. Glenn Gabe has a tutorial on how to find Google Notes for your website. Google Notes is part of the search generative experience where you can write actual notes about websites you see in Google Search and Discover. Google has not made it easy for website owners to actually see the notes that people have written about their site. This is a way you can check that out. It's experimental, probably not a lot of notes about sites that are not that popular yet. There's also this interesting article. It's getting a lot of buzz from HouseFresh, how Google is killing independent sites like ours. They are a product review site. They note that they are outranked in Google search by a lot of these big companies, BuzzFeed and so forth, that don't do their own product testing. They just go in and grab reviews from Amazon, for example. They say that's tested, and they don't actually have to spend any money or time doing the testing themselves. So sites like this, like HouseFresh, that do actual testing themselves are losing to these big media sites that don't do any testing at all. And they kind of blame Google for that because Google is ranking these sites more highly. And the very last thing I wanted to share is that there is a new tool to create your own Android bot. This is offered by Android. If you remember the old Androidify, you could make a little animated character. This lets you make a really cute 3D Android. You can select the body, the clothing, accessories, the props, and then download your creation. So that's the fun thing to try this week. Again, there's a link in this week's newsletter in the description. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I will see you next Sunday in March already. Can you believe it? Thanks for joining me. And see you next